Welcome back, Steeler Nation, man. Thanks for tuning in to, I guess you would call this the latest edition, even though I don't do this each and every week. I try to. But the latest edition, man, to the before play this week, week 18, the Pittsburgh Steelers will be taking on the Cincinnati Bengals in Pittsburgh, the last home game of the season. Potentially. I say potentially because as of right now, as I'm recording this video, we don't know who's going to win the AFC North. Probably going to be Baltimore. I'm guessing Baltimore will beat Cleveland, and there you have it. So as of right now, I would say more than likely we're about to see the Pittsburgh Steelers in their last home game of the season, week 18 against the Cincinnati Bengals. And I'm going to be brief with this one, guys. I'm sorry I'm late on doing this game, this pregame show. I had every intention of doing it yesterday, and then I got sidetracked, and I forgot that we were playing today, which is Saturday. We're going to be playing in a few hours. It's actually 3:47 p.m. my time, Eastern time. We'll be playing at 8 p.m. So I just thought I would get this out really, really quick. So real fast, guys, I'm not going to hold you too long. Let's take a look at who's in and who's out. For the Pittsburgh Steelers, guys, of course, Roman Wilson is out. Cole Holcomb is out. Nothing new, but it was cool to see those guys looking very good, especially Roman Wilson looking very good and fluid in practice, but they are still officially out, as well as Logan Lee is out, and questionable is Dante Jackson, and that is important. That is important, and I'll explain that in just a moment. As far as the Cincinnati Bengals, guys, it looks like for the Bengals, game status, Sam Hubbard is out. Sam Hubbard is out. If you guys watched Hard Knocks, you would have learned that as well, that he was dealing with the injury. They ran a touchdown to him. He came down and he did something to his PCL, so he is out. And that could be significant for the Bengals because, again, he's one of the guys who helps along the line with the pass rush. But also a lot of questionables for the Cincinnati Bengals. Chase Brown, a guy who ran the ball very well against the Pittsburgh Steelers in the first half, first time we played the Bengals in Cincinnati, he is questionable. T. Higgins, the complement to Jamar Chase, the other half of that duo, is questionable. Charlie Jones, wide receiver, I'm not so familiar with him. He's number 15. He's questionable. Amarius Mims, another guy on the defense who's questionable. Drew Sample, questionable. Tight end, dealing with the groin. And then also another guy that made a splash in the first game against the Bengals, Cam Taylor-Britt, cornerback. He is questionable. So we shall see who's going to play. Like I said, at the time right now, they're not showing who the inactives are as of yet because we play at 8 p.m., so I don't know. But let's just talk about, man, how this may or may not affect the Pittsburgh Steelers. Obviously, if a guy like Dante Jackson is out, not acting like Dante Jackson is the best corner in the world, but he has been a starter for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He has interceptions on his resume, leads the team, if I'm not mistaken. Without him, we saw what it looked like when you have to have guys like James Pierre and you have to have guys like Corey Trice. And no disrespect to Corey Trice, he's still a young up-and-coming. He needs these reps, if you will. Sizable guy, a big corner, lengthy corner. I definitely hope Corey Trice can turn into something. Again, he's going to go through his bumps, but we got to be honest in saying when the Steelers have not had their starting secondary out there, you have seen holes, different situations happening in the secondary, miscommunication, yada, yada, yada. I would imagine it's part of that. It might just be some of the players just not being where they're supposed to be. So the reason why I'm paying attention to that is if Dante Jackson can't go, even though he got burned and dusted by Watson against the Chiefs, I still have to look at that as being a threat to that secondary if we're not going to have the starting guys out there. So let's pay attention to that. Hopefully he has a chance to play. Now, in terms of the Cincinnati Bengals, hey, if T. Higgins for some reason doesn't play, or Chase Brown, that is huge for the Pittsburgh Steelers, as well as Cam Taylor-Britt. We all know the Bengals secondary hasn't been the best. Their pass defense has been pretty terrible this year. Steelers put up 44 points against them in the first meeting. I don't think it's going to go that way this time. Well, I don't know how it might go this time, but needless to say, if they're already dealing with pass defense them potentially not having one of their secondary starters, as well as Sam Hubbard and Amarius Mims, any other guy who can help with the pass rush, definitely favors the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now let's talk a little bit about what it's going to take to win this game, man. Listen, simple and plain. Pittsburgh Steelers will need to find some defensive fluidity. Said that wrong. They need to find some offensive fluidity. The offensive fluidity that they had the first time they faced off against the Bengals. Some people would say, oh, they have a terrible pass defense or defense in general. Fine. Then the Pittsburgh Steelers need to find a way to expose that then. If that's how we feel, we need to find a way to expose it. Once again, I don't know if it'll be 44 points, but we need to find a way to have consistent, fluid offense. You guys hear me say it every week. It doesn't mean scoring 40 points. It doesn't even mean scoring on every drive. But what it does mean is sustaining drives, 8+ play drives, even if you don't score, lengthy drives that helps to flip the field, helps with field position. And you want to score out on most of those drives. Not all, because that's not realistic. But having fluidity at offense doesn't always mean you walk away with points. It means that you're not having 3 and outs or very few of them. It means that you're sustaining drives and you're allowing your defense to rest. The Steelers will need to find that offensive fluidity that they had against the Bengals the first time. If you do that, they have a good chance to win. But let's not forget, Joe Burrow is on the other side of the ball, along with Jamar Chase. Let's not forget, the Steelers surrendered 38 points to them in the first outing. Our defense has not looked that great these last few weeks against the Baltimore Ravens, against the Philadelphia Eagles, against the Kansas City Chiefs. We have not looked good, particularly in the secondary. That is not a good resume for a guy like Joe Burrow, who has been playing very well. Outstanding football these last several weeks. A guy who can buy time in the pocket. He has been killing people with his legs in the pocket, moving side to side, stepping up in the pocket, extending the play. We cannot afford that. And there's no evidence over the last 3 weeks that the Steelers secondary is ready to combat that. Again, they put up 38 points the first time we played them. So defensive communication will have to be on point. The Steelers will need to find their pass rush. And offensively, we need to sustain drives and have some fluidity. We're going to have to score points. I really do believe that. We're not going to be able to do what we've done the last 3 weeks. 10 points against the Chiefs. 17 points against the Ravens. And I forget how many points it was against Philadelphia. I want to say, matter of fact, why am I guessing? Y'all know I like to have real numbers and real stats. Let's see exactly what the numbers were. Bear with me for a second. We scored 10 against the Chiefs. I do remember that. And that is abysmal. Let's see. Yeah. We had 13 points against the Eagles, 17 against the Ravens, and 10 against the Chiefs. Cannot have that type of performance. The Steelers must score 24 points or more in this game, I feel. Because I think it will be that type of game. And I think if we're able to score 24 points, 22 to 24, then you're limiting the amount of times that Joe Burrow has the ball in his hand. It doesn't have to be a 44 to 38. If we're sustaining drives and having lengthy drives and converting on some of these drives, you make the game shorter in terms of the amount of time that their offense can have the ball. So a 24-point out, put that out. An output of 24 points might be enough. But we're going to have to score. Point blank, period. And the last thing that I would say, man, is I would like to see the Steelers win this game regardless. I know most of us feel like the Steelers are more than likely a one-and-done type of team right now in terms of the playoffs, especially if we end up in the 6th seed. Our best chance, I think, is if we do not win the division, which we probably won't, we end up the 5th seed and we have to go to Houston, I think that's a better opportunity for the Steelers rather than having to play the Baltimore Ravens again in Baltimore. Just my opinion. But it would be good to win this game because you don't want to go into the playoffs on a losing streak. We've already lost 3 games in a row. Very tough games, I might add. Again, I want to remind everybody who didn't have expectations for this team, did not believe in Russell Wilson, did not believe in Justin Fields, do not believe in Mike Tomlin. I want to remind all you people, why did you expect them to win these last 3 games then? That's the craziest thing to me. Those who don't have expectations or they hate everybody on the roster, they hate the head coach, but then you're extremely upset when they lose to teams that, yeah, you could definitely expect them to lose to. 3 of the better teams in the league. I've been saying all year that this Steelers team isn't quite ready yet. They're not. Regardless of, okay, we haven't won a playoff game since 2016. I acknowledge that, but I'm just saying, being a realistic fan, they're not that team yet. They're a decent team. They're not a great team yet. They're not even a very good team. They're okay. But somehow they managed to win 10 wins. 10 games, somehow they did that. But I remind you, it was not impossible to think that the Steelers would go through that stretch in 11 days and lose those games to the Eagles, Ravens, and Chiefs. That's not impossible to imagine. But even with that said, if you can, you would like to go into the playoffs on a high streak, knowing we just won a nice game against a powerful offense. We're feeling good going into the playoffs. Don't want to go into the playoffs with a 4-game losing streak. It just doesn't feel good. It's just the morale just might not be the same. You're not believing in yourself as much. You just don't want to take that type of energy into the postseason, whether they're going to be one and done or not. I'm just saying. But all right, guys, that's all I got, man. Just a quick video here. Try to get something up for you guys, man, before we watch this game tonight. And we'll see. I'll be back tonight. I will be doing the post-game show following the game to give my thoughts and comments. And there you have it, man. So I hope you guys enjoyed. If you are a first-time viewer, I just want to remind you right here, man, if you like the video, show some love and hit that like button. If you like the content, subscribe to the channel. And then, of course, make sure you turn on your notifications. Outside of that, guys, hope we get the job done. We shall see. And I'll see you guys for the post-game follow-up immediately following the game. All right? Catch y'all soon. Peace.